All right. Hi, everyone. We're going to kick this off because we only have 30 minutes. So I am your host today. I'm Maura Van As. I'm the Global Head of Customer Success at Sapia. Today, I'm going to talk you through my personal and professional lessons learned in building trust and transformation in the HR space. Before we kick off, I do want to let you all know that this is being recorded. We will be sharing the recording with anyone that is registered and anyone that is attending today. We do also have a Q&A function on this webinar, so please take time throughout the webinar at any point to type your questions into the Q&A box. You should be seeing that at the bottom of your screen and have access to it. I have my lovely colleague Manny on the call. He's going to be monitoring those questions, answering any of them real time in chat that we can, consolidating the rest to answer at the end of this session. We will have some time for questions. I do apologize in advance. I'm going to be talking at you for just about 20 minutes, so thank you in advance for listening. We only have 30 and there's a lot to cover, but I promise we'll have at least 5 at the end to make sure that we can answer any remaining questions. We will also follow up with materials, and of course, I'd love to hear from you on other forums too, so I'll make sure to give you my details. Fantastic. Well, I'm going to start by introducing myself properly. I am originally Dutch, but I have been very lucky to have had an international upbringing, which evolved into an international career. And I've most recently settled in Singapore, where I've been for the last 3 years. I do have over a decade of experience, very specifically in HR technology, which is quite niche. I started out in investment banks, and then I transitioned to the disruptive startup environment, where I was really specializing in HR transformation. Once I knew that this was my niche, particularly around my passion and fascination for AI tools in recruitment transformation, I went to market looking for the best of the best AI recruitment tool out there. That is how I ended up at Sapia, where I've been building and leading this amazing team of customer success obsessed individuals for over the past year. Now, although I hope that by nature of being on this webinar, you have all heard of Sapia before and know something about it, I'm actually going to assume that the inner workings of it and the details of it are new to most of you. So I am very clearly not in sales. I'm not here to sell you Sapia today. I am just here to tell you enough to set the scene on the types of problems we solve for our customers and my team and the types of transformation that's required to achieve that. So Sapia at a very high level is a smart chat interview assessment. It captures candidates' responses via a chat-based user interface. Think WhatsApp web if you haven't seen it before. It's a great way to visualize it. And we then match those responses to responsible, ethical, natural language processing and machine learning to produce a match to a unique AI success profile that is predictive of a role or a culture within an organization. This essentially produces an automated evaluation science, and that determines candidate role fit at speed, at scale, and it does this in a debiased, fair way to promote diversity across genders, ethnicities, and a host of other DEI categories. We bring this to life through each and every Sapia experience, which is a scalable, human-centric experience from apply to decide. And this is what we're really passionate about, particularly in my team. We're very passionate about building experiences, not processes. We get a lot of feedback from our customers about the fact that a main blocker in implementing AI in this space is this fear of losing the human touch. And I really hope that our conversation today reassures you that that doesn't have to be the case at all. If you're creating a truly authentic experience where candidates feel heard, they feel seen, and you're creating a safe space that is accessible to minority groups, then really what you're doing is scaling that human touch through technology. Our mission at Sapia is also to make sure that not a single candidate is ghosted in this recruitment process. So every single candidate that completes the chat interview receives an automated, personalized behavioral insights report that they then subsequently leave us incredibly positive feedback about on the daily, about how accurate, actionable, and accessible this entire experience feels to them. And by nature of being an AI recruitment tool, we are also a data company by default. They go hand in hand. We couldn't be one without the other. We collect and track a lot of data that my team has access to, and I'll show you what we do with that data a little bit later on in this conversation. But ultimately, that data on a global scale tells us that we're really making a difference, and that difference is resonating across industries, across markets, across cultures. Today, we have more than 4 million candidates that love Sapia in 47 countries in 9 languages. And all of that global scale allows us to deliver enormous value to our global customers. So when we focus on return on investment within my team, we focus on 4 main business impact areas. The first is, of course, maximizing efficiencies by having a tool that filters your talent top of funnel with rich talent intelligence. Amplifying employer brand by making sure that every candidate has this incredibly positive Sapia experience regardless of the outcome. Accurate inclusion and diversity management to make sure we're removing the unconscious bias from your recruitment processes. And last, but definitely not least, turnover reduction by making sure you can hire the right people at the right time into the right roles. And this impact has allowed us to work with some truly incredible partners, some that are more innovative and progressive in nature, that have really robust AI strategies that we're very privileged to be a part of. Some that are more conservative or still at the start of those AI journeys, in which case we're working very closely with them to evolve those. All of them are global market-leading brands that we're so proud to work with. And behind each one of these brands is, most importantly, a human being, an individual. These are the innovative heads of talent acquisition or the bold CHROs and the brave organizational leaders that are the true visionaries of this transformation journey. They are disrupting their internal status quo from old manual recruitment processes to a future state that is smart and leverages AI. And we know that our success comes from their success. They're very interlinked. We help deliver to their ambition. We help deliver to their vision. And the story of success that we end up writing for every single partnership is really co-authored by these key partners and their incredible teams. And that's really important to remember as we talk about the playbook of building trust and transformation. So with these key partners by our side, I'm going to talk you through 4 pillars of building trust and transformation that we've developed as our golden rules, our golden playbook. And it starts with one in particular because we've found that driving success in this transformation space really starts with falling in love with the problem. And I'm not talking about having a crush on the problem where you're coy and shy to approach it or to dig deeper. I'm talking head over heels, obsessed, in love with the problem. When I hire for customer success managers in my team, I really do hire for passionate problem solvers. And I actually love the term empathetic visionaries. They need to have this empathy, deep empathy for the current state that our customers are feeling pain and problems in. And then they have to be able to envision a future state where Sapia can alleviate that pain. And to do this, we embark on a deep dive discovery to really answer one question: which lever is going to drive the biggest impact for this customer? And that means that our sales team spends a lot of time with our customers to understand what is the problem that we're really looking to solve. And we want to understand, what does the CHRO think the problem is? What does the head of talent acquisition think the problem is? What do the recruiters and hiring managers feel the problem is? You'd be surprised at how different those realities can be. And we will sit there with you and unpack this pain. Where are you feeling it? And how much is it costing you, both in cash cost and time cost? And we'll often find that time cost is the biggest pain, probably because it has all these invisible elements associated with it. So yes, we can track how many interviews a recruiter runs on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, but there's all this invisible time for scheduling, rescheduling, following up, giving feedback, making decisions that is difficult to track and is difficult to quantify. And of course, it's obvious for us to focus on recruiter time, but we're actually fascinated by hiring manager time as well. Because the opportunity cost of a hiring manager doing an interview and not doing their job for an hour literally leaves revenue on the table. So we know that at Sapia, we can easily alleviate time cost. We can automate interviews at speed, at scale. We can make sure you need much less of them to pass on higher quality candidates to your hiring managers. And we can lift your hire yield from 10 candidates to 1 hire to 3 to 1. And inadvertently, by hiring higher quality candidates, we're alleviating your cash cost too. That's the next dependency on all these FTEs that are needed to run this operation, or this recruitment survival mode cycle of advertising to fill attrition, or retraining for new hires, or the many agencies and consultancies that get brought in along that route. And time again, when we do this type of deep level discovery, we see that the biggest challenge in this space is this plague of high turnover. And the fascinating thing about high turnover is that it is utterly prolific, but no one seems to truly own it in the business. It's something that is expected. It's something that is lived with. And it is not just about the cost of hiring. It is absolutely about this doom loop it creates in terms of the tax it has on your culture, your team performance, your leaders, your managers. And we know that if you can intervene at the top and bring turnover down just a couple percentage points, we can make millions of difference over time. And speaking of that tax of turnover, there is a PwC report, which is a global survey of CEOs. And this year they stated that the productivity tax of really bad organizational processes is 10 trillion a year. The number 4 lever they had on that list was consequences of bad recruitment. So you may think at face value that Sapia is touching a small piece of the problem pie, but we and my team make sure to never underestimate the pain of the problem that we're solving for, that we're able to impact. And to do that, we really have to fall in love with it, and we have to dig deep every single time. Pillar number 2, leading with data-driven transparency. Now, I actually think about this a lot. I think about building trust through transparency in my team every day. I have this team of global, unique, dynamic individuals that are incredible. Unfortunately, they do not live or work in the same city or country as myself, and I do not get to see them nearly as much as I would like. And so for me to build trust, I have to do that through honesty. I have to do it through openness, vulnerability. This is a recipe for transparency that I'm sure you're all very familiar with. And there's this beautiful African proverb I grew up with, and it goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. And you may recognize this if any of you have ever flown through Johannesburg Airport, South Africa. But this really applies to me and my team, and also our approach with customers. If we're coming in to solve a problem and we're coming in to fall in love with it, we really bring our customers into the tent. We do everything to make sure that the Sapia transformation is not just another top-down silo, not just another HR initiative. We want to make sure it's a bottoms-up sponsorship with this grassroots user advocacy. We have to identify all of these personas that have these end-to-end journeys that are going to be impacted by this transformation. We've got recruiters, hiring managers, candidates, the business, leads within talent acquisition. And we like to say, think like a marketer, communicate like a human. So think like a marketer in terms of how does this make each persona feel, and how is this going to impact every end-to-end user journey? And communicate like a human with empathy, because we know that this change isn't easy. And then what we do is we establish a rhythm of reporting. So we identify metrics that are meaningful to each one of these end user personas. Recruiters and hiring managers care about completion rates and conversion rates, and heads of TA care about time and cost savings, and CHROs ultimately care about mitigating risk and maximizing revenue. And that is what allows us to build a shared data-driven success story that we then can evolve over time. A really great example of a shared success story like this that we built with a key partner of ours is this value pyramid, where we can very easily, early and often, validate the candidate experience, the completions, the role fit, right? Candidates that are recommended by Sapia are 3.5 times more likely to be hired. We can elevate that really quickly to show time and cost savings to our heads of talent acquisition that's sponsoring this initiative, showing that we're saving almost 70,000 hours, 67% reduction in time to hire. But we can lift that up even further to show the incredible turnover reductions we're able to enable as significant cost savings to the CHRO and the executive sponsors that are investing a lot in this, where all of this adds up and builds this value pyramid of us sharing the success story of almost 10 million a year saved. And that's how we build a data-driven, shared success story in a transparent way from the ground up. Pillar number 3 is telling human stories. And this one is actually my favorite. I like to say that if I were to hire for customer success managers in the market under any other title, it would be storytellers. I think there is tremendous power in storytelling, particularly storytelling with data, which you've just seen what we do. But there is even greater value in telling human stories, and particularly if those stories are told by our customers, who are the people living and breathing this transformation and this change every single day. The truth is that today companies apply to people. It is not people applying to companies. And really your recruitment process has essentially become your sales pitch. Why should talent come work for you instead of the company next door that might look the same on contract paper? Why are you putting all these applicants through a process that doesn't necessarily help them learn anything new about you as a company that they can't find out on your website, or most importantly, new about themselves? And I really do believe that rarely do people read job descriptions. They prefer to read Glassdoor reviews because humans trust humans. And you're getting the picture. I mean, the differentiator in all of this is human touch and human stories that we can showcase and bring to the forefront in our experiences. And a really good example of this is Joe and the Juice, our key partner. In their Sapia chat interview, they host this incredible video of what it means to be a juicer. And if you have time, please go find it on their website and watch it. Because they talk not only about the good and the great of the role, but they also talk about the bad. They talk about the nitty gritty manual labor, late night closing cleanups, and then also the incredible privilege of working there with charismatic, international, diverse individuals, energizing customers. And we like to call this romancing. It's bringing this courtship and romance back to the recruitment process, but you're doing it in an authentic way and in a way that really sets realistic expectations. And we know that everyone in your business and our business has a story to tell. And of course, we wanted to tell our story too and capture it and put it front and center. So here's a quick video that shows who we are as a company, as Sapia, told through our human touch and our human stories.
How do you tell someone you're intuitive and you get it, you can talk to people, you understand requirements, you can relay it to people in different types of language? How do you write that on a piece of paper?
To be frank, it was really hard, like coming as an international student, trying to find a job, like huge loans over here.
I applied for 50, 70 jobs, but I get no call from any company.
Whether my name has helped me? No, I don't think so. I think it has probably, I'm sure many people have found that name on a CV and gotten really confused, just trying to give a call and not knowing how to pronounce it. So probably not. I might have, I might have done better if I have adopted an English name.
Well, there's a bias in CVs. You don't have an English sounding name, you might not get picked.
I think businesses still rely on resumes because it's a force of habit. Sometimes it's really comfortable, and change in the unknown is uncomfortable, but that's something that we're trying to do, is push the boundaries.
Diversity and candidate experience, I think, are directly correlated when it comes to talent acquisition, particularly if you consider people with disability or people from minority groups. They need to feel like this environment is truly inclusive and recognizes them for who they are and doesn't necessarily just put them in a box.
Back then, if you ask me the advice, I would say just try to get your CV as good as possible. But now, my advice apply for a company who partner with Sapia.ai. They don't look at the CV, they remove the bias.
We do so much to humanity and people's opportunities in general. I think if resumes disappeared, we'd actually be able to see people for the behaviours and the traits and the skills that they can go out and develop themselves, as opposed to just their direct experience, which not everyone's given the same opportunity. When we look at our AI screening people, and it can't tell who you are, how old you are, what ethnicity, what background you have, it's completely fair. And that's how hiring should be.
We would have more diversity if we didn't completely rely on CVs.
A world where no CVs, I think that's where people can really be judged for who they are and what they are capable of.
Keep pushing through, keep applying, because all you need is that one chance, that one opportunity to really make a difference, and it will come.
Amazing. So I hope that that's inspired you to think of some of the human stories, untold or told, in your business that could be brought to the forefront. Lastly, number 4, there is one thing that's a little different with AI tools, and you may have guessed it or even felt it. It's fear and discomfort and anxiety and the unknown of this space. And earlier this year, I was on one of my accounts, and this post actually really made me chuckle to myself because I'm a sucker for corporate comedy, but also in context of conversations like this today, where it's really trendy to say you use AI or machine learning as part of digital transformation with all hands on deck, but what does that really mean? And at Sapia, we really are held to account on being experts in AI and machine learning. And we have to be, to make sure that those catalysts are being used ethically and effectively. And we do that through one main approach, and that is called human in the loop AI. We spend a lot of time at Sapia building these best practice algorithms and success profiles that we configure and debias and deploy and monitor and validate and retrain over time. And they're all brought to life with machine learning. And there's one golden rule of thumb when it comes to machine learning, and that is what you put into it is what you get out of it. This is why even the most advanced technology requires a human input and a human touch. And for us, that human touch comes from our incredible customers. I mean, all these experts you've heard me talk about today, the recruiters, the hiring managers, the heads of TA, the CHROs, they own these definitions of success that we're looking to bring to life. They own performance or culture or future-proofing talent. And ultimately, we bring them to the table to co-create this intellectual AI IP with us. That way, we can use their data that's most predictive, most meaningful, in a way that matters most to them. And when our customers are at the table with us making these decisions around data, and they are the human in the loop and they feel that, that's when it really demands intimacy and joint accountability, and most importantly, trust. Now, of course, we realize that investing that level of time and data and ownership is not accessible or realistic to every organization. So we always live on a spectrum. We live on a good, better, best. You can sit anywhere on the spectrum, and it is still significantly better than the manual status quo of screening and selection. Ultimately, all we want to do with our customers is train models on the data that is most predictive and meaningful to them. So at the very least, that might be hired data. Who have you hired? Who have you declined? It would be better if there was performance data or retention data, since that's probably most predictive and important to your business. It would be ideal if it was both. And that's when we can really identify success accurately on our customers' terms. When our customers feel confident that they are the human in the loop and that they co-own this and co-create it with us over time, that's when we really see their trust and transformation skyrocket, and most importantly, hold steady over time. So these are, in summary, the golden rules and the 4 principles of building trust and transformation in the HR space that have really held true to me. They've held true to Sapia. Of course, I'd love to hear from all of you as to what has held true for you as pioneering change in your teams, your organizations. So we do have a couple minutes, as promised, left for questions. I'll hand over to Manny, and we will follow up with this recording materials. And please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or at Maura at Sapia.ai at any point in time.
Thanks, Maura. Appreciate that. Depending on how extensive your responses are, if I look through the Q&A, there's a common thread around, I think, the customer stories that we work with in the customer success team. One of the biggest challenges that our customers face in achieving this transformation?
Yeah, great question. I'll be completely honest with all of you. The biggest challenge is this fear and discomfort of change, particularly in the context of end users. So recruiters and hiring managers, where there is a fear of jobs and responsibilities being displaced by AI. And the way that we support that is, of course, through change management. I mean, we have best practice communication templates, we have end user surveys, we have check-ins, and we make sure that there is education and awareness around what this change really means. But most importantly, the focus is on how that technology isn't displacing, it is elevating. So we can take recruiters that currently are acting as these operational executors, right? Talent administrators in a really transactional way. And we can elevate them to be what we like to call talent concierges, strategic in nature. So they're able to focus more of their time on the steps in recruitment that truly require their human input, their human touch, and they can spend more time on the right candidates at the right stages of the process. Things like advisory or sourcing or performance analytics, all of these skills that recruiters are time poor in. We do have a amazing customer we're partnering with at the moment that we featured recently on an interview, and they were describing how they're seeing a real shift in their recruiters essentially becoming HRBPs to the business. And that this is offering their key talent in this space this incredible upskilling and development opportunity that they've really wanted for a very long time, and that they're partnering with the business now to solve real business issues and problems. So it's really in elevating and securing that narrative. And of course, me and my team partnering around the change management materials and story and narrative to make sure that there is comfort.
Thanks, Maura. We probably have time for one more question. There's an interesting one here. So I understand that Sapia removes human judgment from people that feel anxious in-person live interviews, which is great. The question is, some roles, however, do require social anxiety management skills. So how do we recommend our clients to assess that kind of soft skills? And I guess a related one is, if a customer came to us with a blank slate and said, I have no idea how to get started, this sounds exciting, how would we take them on this journey?
Hey, those are two
questions.
Okay, let me do the first one first. So very good question. We do have a lot of customers that leverage Sapia as a one-stop shop. You have the ability here to interview every single candidate very, very quickly, and you could make hires within 24 hours easily. And in some instances and in some occupations and roles, that absolutely makes sense, because what you're looking for is purely behavioral, is purely potential, and it isn't experiential or based on academic or professional qualifications and experience. In instances where there are specific skills, whether those are hard skills or specific soft skills that are required, we, of course, recommend that you have an additional step in the process to solidify the ability for candidates to show that. We do also have a video interview tool that is often used to measure additional soft skills like communication and responses to social situations. But we encourage and work with our customers to make sure that we essentially frame a best practice end-to-end process to solve their needs per role. Manny, can you remind me what the second question was?
I think you kind of segued into that. Is okay. If a client came in with a blank slate and said, got it. Yeah. Do you have a prescribed journey that I should go, recommendations, best practice?
So we are very fluent in the best practice in this space in terms of we have everything from best practice algorithms, best practice candidate success profiles. We call them meta models. They're essentially off the shelf and could be deployed tomorrow for you if you wanted. But we also have plenty of best practice end-to-end journeys from a future state perspective that we map and that we work with our customers on as partners. Essentially, that's part of our solution design, making sure that not only are we bringing our best practice templates to the table, but we also are informing that by all of the innovative, new, and maybe front edge leading activities and innovations that some of our customers are taking on. So we make sure to make that a holistic approach. That's what the deep dive discovery is all about, really making sure we know what problem we're solving so we can support that in the best way possible from our expertise and experience.
Thanks, Maura. I think that's about time. So thank everyone for joining and making the time in the middle of the day. And if there are any further questions, you're going to share contact details to follow up, which is on the screen right now.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining. For those of you where this was a late lunchtime, thank you for spending it with me, with us. We will be following up, and yeah, please look out for that. And please reach out to me on LinkedIn or Maura at Sapia.ai for anything further. Thanks, everyone.